Welcome back, fellow internet adventurers. Get ready for another wild ride through Reddit's strangest stories. We're diving deep into the internet's quirkiest corners. Grab your popcorn and join us on this adventure. Let's get started. I was nervous. Karen, my wife of 11 years, had told me to meet her at the Tumbleweed Inn at 3 o'clock. I knew that the bar would be pretty much empty at that hour, and whatever it was she had to tell me would have little to do with partying with her. I didn't know how right I was. The Tumbleweed was where she and I had met 13 years before, and I had a bad feeling. I suspected that she was cheating on me with a coworker, and I was afraid that this meeting would be where I got the news. There had been signs, late nights at the office where she was a secretary to the boss, disinterest in sex, at least with me, new clothes, provocative clothes in her closet, clothes she never wore around me, and a significantly reduced interest in communicating with me. We hardly spoke, even at meals, of which she was seldom home for during the past several months. It had mostly been me and the kids, Max and Megan, eating together, while she would come in with some lame excuse and perhaps a dessert from the market for the children. Her disregard for me hurt, but her putting the children on the back burner really pissed me off. There were only a few cars in the lot when I pulled into the Tumbleweed. I had resolved to play it cool if she was going to do and say what I suspected was the case. I suspected a tell-all due to a conversation that I had partially overheard 2 nights before. Yes, okay, I agree. Tuesday. Yes, I'll get him there. Well, it was Tuesday, and it was 3 o'clock, and she had gotten me here. I sat in the car for a few moments, thinking, what if she was with someone else? What should I do? The wisdom imparted by my father years ago echoed in my mind. It had proven invaluable in my business endeavors. Do nothing, son, unless you're certain of your course of action. Remain silent. Let your adversary puzzle it out. The less you reveal, the greater their concern. If they aren't concerned, they're exposed, allowing you to strategize at your discretion. Remember, your words betray your thoughts, even when you're unaware. Simply stay quiet and withdraw, attending to matters later, armed with all the necessary information and a solid plan. As I reminisced, a fond smile crossed my face. I cherished the memory of my father's guidance and felt his presence as though he were guiding me from above. In gratitude, I silently thanked him for his sage advice. Turning inward, I noticed her seated at the bar with a stranger. Yet this wasn't entirely unexpected. My business, Steinbeck Incorporated, had consumed much of my time over the past decade, leaving little opportunity for socializing with her colleagues. As an electrical engineer, my company specialized in designing wiring and electrical systems for various construction firms, keeping me fully occupied during the day. I walked over to the two of them. She sensed my presence and turned. "Hello, Mark," she said, not "hello, honey." No peck on the cheek, just "hello, Mark." I said it pointedly. "What's up?" The man turned to face me. "Mr. Steinbeck, or would you prefer I call you Mark? We brought you here today to let you know that your wife and I have been having sex together for some time. She has made it clear that she is tired of sneaking around and making excuses, so I convinced her to simply tell you. As I had suspected, I was halfway prepared for this, and the recorder in my jacket pocket gave me an edge. I hoped I was getting it all. I waited. I said nothing. After all, Dad was watching, and I didn't want him mad at me for being stupid. "Mark," said Karen, waiting for me to say something, but I remained silent. She must have decided I was in shock or something, so she started talking. "Mark, it has been so hard keeping this from you. I don't want you to feel hurt. I have no intention of leaving you. It's just that, well, sex with Jason here is just too much for me to give up. I hope you can understand. I just can't keep this from you any longer. You deserve to know," she said. I wasn't sure just how aware she was of how stupid her argument sounded. Karen had not finished college for obvious reasons, but I had never considered her actually dumb until that moment. As for the military genius she was trading me in for, well, enough said. I walked to the end of the bar, where the barkeep was trying not to hear what he couldn't help but hear. I ordered what was on tap, and he brought it. I sipped it, saying nothing. The two of them watched me. I could see confusion on both of their faces. I finished my beer and left. I could feel their eyes following me as I exited the building. I felt good for the first time in months. I felt that I had the upper hand. I might have been imagining it, but it was definitely how I felt. I went directly home. The kids would be waiting for me. I kissed the kids hello, laughed, and told them it was going to be a good weekend for them. They cheered, and we went to get ice cream. I told them of my plan, which I had formulated earlier that day. They would be staying with their Aunt Susan and Uncle Dak for the weekend. They love my sister and brother-in-law, and they love them back. Sue and her husband, an ex-Army Ranger, had been unable to conceive. Hence, Max and Megan had become their favorite people in the whole wide world. I knew that Sue and Dak were going camping for the weekend, and now the kids were going to be going with them. That would give me the chance I needed to handle the things that had to be handled. "Everything okay?" Mark asked Dak. The man had an uncanny knack for picking up on things. "Truthfully, no," I said. "I'm divorcing Karen. The kids don't know. So I figured," he said. "That brought me up short," I said, reflecting on what I had noticed. "Some things," he said. "So has Sue. Karen actually made a play for me last Christmas. I blew her off, and she made a joke about it, trying to cover herself, but she couldn't sell it. Not to me. Sue made me not tell you. Sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. I'm just grateful you guys are here to take care of the kids for a couple of days. I need time to get my ducks all lined up. Listen, Mark, if you need me for anything..." "Thanks, Dak. I'll keep it in mind, but I think I can handle this. It'll be messy, but I have evidence, and this is not a no-fault state, so nailing them shouldn't be a problem. After I leave here, I'm heading over to Henry's to get things underway." Henry Morgan was my company's more than competent attorney. He was, by all accounts, at least 120 years old, but still sharp as a razor blade. He knew every judge and every worthwhile attorney in the state, let alone in the city. Karen could not have realized what I was capable of doing if I found her cheating. I had to figure that she had come forward with all of this sex buddy stuff in order to short-circuit anything I might do if I were to discover them by accident. It was very faulty reasoning, but the more I considered it, the more it made the only possible sense. She was scared I would find out and sandbag her. Well, I was going to do just that. "Yeah, Henry, that's about it." I had come to his home unannounced and surprised him. I had given him the recording and the name of the barkeep who had been a witness to the bizarre meeting with my wife and her sex buddy only hours earlier. "Okay, I will have them both served on Monday." "Are you going home?" he asked. "Yes, I guess so. I don't want to tip her off too soon. I will be kicking her out as soon as you tell me they've been served." "Okay, Malcolm will interview the witness and get him to sign an affidavit tomorrow, even though it's Sunday. Speed wins in this business. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and leave them bewildered and sucking dust, I always say." I like the way this man thought. "And Mark?" "Yes. Sorry about your marriage, and especially about Max and Megan. Anything you need?" "Thanks, Henry. I appreciate it." I left feeling very, very good. I had an ex-ranger and a real nasty lawyer running point. Now all I had to do was sit back and let the hit the fan. I had told Henry to deny her anything whatsoever. She was to get nothing. He said it wouldn't be a problem. With any other attorney, I knew I'd likely have to split everything with her. However, her actions, as validated by the recording, would provide Henry with the leverage to decimate her in court. If Henry asserted it, it held undeniable truth. That much I was certain of. I felt increasingly reassured as I made my way home, potentially for the last weekend with my soon-to-be ex-wife. Upon arrival, I was taken aback to find an unfamiliar car parked in the driveway. It had to belong to Jason. The evening was descending, and I wondered if I might be fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of the lovers a couple of houses down. I stealthily approached the house. The lights were off, but as I approached, I noticed Rex, my next-door neighbor, wheeling the trash out to the curb. Rex was a police officer. I positioned myself directly beside the unfamiliar car and made eye contact with him. He waved, and I nodded, relieved that he had seen the car. Another witness. I made a mental note of the jerk's license plate number. I would give it to Henry tomorrow, along with Rex's name and address, and maybe a couple of pictures if I could get them. I entered the backyard as though I were going to get my trash bins to bring them out. By then, Rex had gone back inside, so I could still try to sneak in and get my pictures. They were in the front room. I pulled out my cell and shot some photos through the sliding glass doors at the back. Thank God for modern cell phones. He was doing her from behind while she knelt on the couch. I managed to get about 10 pictures before putting away my cell and entering noisily through the sliding glass door. They heard me. The two turned, looked at me, and continued doing what they were doing. I went upstairs. The nerve, I thought, but I waited. About 15 minutes later, I heard the front door downstairs open and close. followed by the roar of an engine as he drove off. I waited for a minute or two more, and then went back downstairs, heading for the kitchen. I heard the shower running as I passed the downstairs bathroom. I poured myself a cup of coffee and waited. This is going to be interesting. 10 minutes later, she came and joined me. "You okay?" she asked, her voice kind. I didn't say anything. I just sipped my coffee and waited for her to say something meaningful. It concerned me that she didn't even think to ask about the kids. This woman was not the one I had married more than a decade ago. "Mark, we have to talk. The kids are my sister's. Thought you might like to know." "Oh, yes, I noticed they weren't here when I got home." She looked flustered. "Now look, are you okay? I just wanted to be upfront and honest with you. I didn't like sneaking around. You're a good man, and you deserve better. It's just sex, Mark. Only sex. I will deny you nothing when we're together, and Jason knows that and is okay with it. He's a good man. It was his idea not to hide things from you anymore. I couldn't resist. So I can have sex with my lawfully wedded wife, and Jason is okay with that? Damn, that's very nice of him. No need to be sarcastic, Mark. Honesty is always the best policy, you know?" she said, as if breaking her wedding vows was an exception to the rule. I had to smile. I couldn't help it. "Mark, damn it, say something," she commanded. "What do you want me to say? If I said to call him and tell him it's over, would you?" "Well, then there is nothing to say except yes, you were right. I deserve better." I was laughing inside, but my outward demeanor was calm, even reflective. "You're not a cuck or whatever," she said. "You're my husband and a good dad, and I love you. Save it, Karen. I'm going out. Don't wait up for me." I had to get out of there. I couldn't stand to be near her. She was dead to me. Monday would be the end, and she would be history. I retraced my steps from earlier in the day, ending up back at the Tumbleweed Inn. The same barkeep was on duty. I bellied up and took my place at the end of the bar. The place was crowded now, especially for a Tuesday night. I ordered a beer on tap and asked the guy, "What gives?" indicating the crowd. "It's L's night, and the wolves are out," he said, nodding toward the far corner. The lighting was dim, but I saw him. Jason was making out with one of the ladies. So, the cheater was cheating on the other cheater. Why was I not surprised? Or maybe he wasn't cheating on her. Perhaps she knew he had other interests. I overheard that earlier today. "Man, if you need a witness." "Thanks, maybe I will," I said. My wife pulled that on me too a few years ago, but I didn't have anybody to stand with me, so I got reamed pretty bad in court. So, that was something, I guess. It would actually be good if half of what I make didn't go to alimony. We talked off and on for the next 4 hours straight. I made a mental note to talk to Henry about maybe getting this guy some justice if he helped me nail Romeo and Juliet. A sucker's head had to stick together. Jason never noticed me at the bar. I managed to get some good shots of him with his little chick. I would use them to show my wife if she indeed thought she was exclusive with him, but that would have to wait till after the big show on Monday. I got home around 4 o'clock in the morning. Josh, the barkeep, and I had a half dozen cups of coffee after closing. He lived upstairs from the bar, so he had nowhere to go. Since he was living alone, I guess I was a good candidate for late-night conversation. I liked the guy, and he was a damn good bartender, a major plus in my view. I was pissed at Karen, but I wanted to sleep in my bed, not in the damn guest room. There's something about a man's own bed. It's something that my wife knew about me, and that might be why she'd have sex in the front room instead of upstairs. I slid in beside her. She was awake. I felt her hand reach for me. I jerked it off me and just rolled over to sleep. She evidently did the same. The light streaming in through the cracks between the window curtains woke me. It was almost 8 o'clock. I could smell bacon frying in the kitchen. I got up, showered, dressed, and went downstairs. She was in a good mood. I guess she thought that everything was all right, or at least that our marriage was not terminal. "Hi, sleepyhead," she said. "Morning," I replied. "Smells good." Well, it did. I was hungry. It might be the last day of our married life, but I didn't have to be all mopey about it. The world would hit the fan tomorrow, but today was going to be a good day. I just knew it. "I'll be here all day today for you," she said, as if it were a special favor since I was being so reasonable. "Oh, yes. And if you're good, you might get really lucky," she added, giggling. I didn't know whether to laugh or be sick to my stomach. How could this cheating witch of a wife actually think that I would consciously accept what she was selling? I just giggled back at her. I have to take my car into the shop later this morning. I need to have new brakes put on. Oh, I thought we might. Maybe later, she said. I had to figure a way to avoid her, and it wasn't going to be easy. I really didn't want to stick my wick in her, but I suppose I could endure it if I absolutely had to in order to keep her off balance. Just before leaving for the brake job, which incidentally was not a lie, I hid my little voice-activated recorder near the kitchen phone. I figured if she called him, that would be the phone she'd use. I was right. God, how I love the intrigue. 3 hours later, I was back. I retrieved the recorder while she was taking the trash out, and went into my office to hear what might have been caught on it. It was hurtful when I heard her say she loved him. Mighty hurtful it was, especially since I knew he didn't give a damn about her. I couldn't wait to show her the dated pics I got of him and his chick the night before. That would put a crimp in her style. Hi, it's me. Yes, he's gone out to do something with the car. I don't know, Jason. He might not want to yes, I will try. He loves me, so maybe, but okay, I understand. I just don't want to lose him. I don't know. Maybe we went too far shoving it in his face like that. I know, but okay, I love you too. I sat there in my office in a state of wonder. I had married an idiot. It was embarrassing. I wasn't sure now if I even should divorce her. How could anyone that stupid be held responsible for her actions? Now the hurt was too deep. The in-your-face audacity of the pair made any kind of reconciliation impossible. And then there were the children. She clearly didn't give a damn about them. Unforgivable. I was up and out of the house before she even awoke. It was Monday, and soon it would be the living end for her and her lover. I first went to the office to let my secretary, Elif, know I would be out for the rest of the day. Being the boss had its upsides. First stop was Henry's office. He had news. Malcolm, his part-time PI, had gotten some info on Romeo. He was married with 6 kids, believe it or not, and his wife had the money and the family, a house, 10 years his senior. She apparently had no clue as to his philandering. I instructed Henry to take him down big time and also gave him my latest recording and my cell with the pics. He smiled at that. I also mentioned to him that I might have a special job for him and Malcolm after the dust settled. I knew that Sue and Dak would get the kids off to school. It was having to talk to them later in the day that was scaring me, but there was nothing for it. It had to be done. Henry had set it up for the 2 lovers to be served at work, and there was a restraining order against her coming back to the house and against him as well. The papers were set to be delivered just before lunchtime. I asked Henry to make sure it was done as loudly and with as much fanfare as possible. I wanted the 2 lovers to hurt. I also asked that he make any and all evidence against the pair available to Jason's wife. What she did with it would be up to her. God, how I wanted to be there when my wife was served. And then I thought, why not? I was in the hall when the server arrived. I didn't know him, and he didn't know me, so he just walked right past me to the office where my wife worked, the boss's office. Excuse me, are you Mrs. Karen Steinbeck? He asked. Yes, I am, she replied, smiling. I observed from the doorway, unnoticed, as she conversed with the server. He handed her a manila envelope. You're served, he informed her. Her expression darkened as she examined the contents of the envelope. Tears welled up and then streamed down her cheeks as she collapsed into her chair. Her boss attempted to offer solace. I made my presence more conspicuous. Her gaze met mine, wide with surprise. Mark? Why? She questioned, her voice quavering. Unable to resist, I replied, Sorry again, Dad. As you said, I deserve better. Then I departed. Though physically absent, I later learned that Jason had met a similar fate, fainting upon realizing the gravity of his situation. In the end, he lost everything: wife, children, home, career. I had misjudged one aspect. Karen wasn't the biggest fool in the world. She was merely the second. A few days later, I sat in Henry's office, sipping on a steaming cup of coffee. So, do you think you can help him, since it's so long after the fact? Yes, I think so. The lady has a lot of skeletons in her closet, and she is more than willing to revisit the conditions of their divorce in order to keep them. Hush, hush. Get the alimony dumped. I mean, if you can, Mark. Don't you know by now that I could do anything? You laughed. I stand corrected, I said, joining him in laughter. Later that day, I sat at the bar in the Tumbleweed, talking with my new friend, Jesus. He said, If what you say is true, you'll never have to pay for another drink in here again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. especially since she rubbed my nose in it so bad at the time. Glad I could help, I replied. Karen ended up with nothing from our marriage, but miracle of miracles, she was not fired. She had been with her boss for so long that he let her indiscretion slide this once. Jason was history, as I had previously related. I met with Karen the day after the big show. I had something I wanted to give her. I knew I risked having to listen to her beg and plead, but this one was worth that risk. Mark, isn't there some way? I mean, the children. That was a card I knew she was going to play, and I shot her down. You have shown no interest in the children for months, Karen. That boyfriend of yours has had your full attention. Mark, he's a good man. He's like you in so many ways. I think that's why I fell for him in the first place. He loves me too. That's why we tried so hard to make you understand. It was for you that we bared our hearts and souls. Now you have seen fit to destroy us. All of us, even the children. How could you? The tears came again. This time, she had really pissed me off, making it all my fault. God, I was mad. Mark, it's not too late. There's still love in us if you want it. I know I can make Jason understand that you have needs too. You'll still be my number one. You're the father of my children. How could you ever be otherwise? Jason is outside of us, not part of us. I will make you a very happy man if you only give me the chance. I was almost speechless. I couldn't even get mad. This was beyond dumb, stupid, moronic. She actually believed her own lies. She needed help, but someone else was going to have to provide it. She was history to me. Karen, I came here today to see you for 2 reasons. 1, I am going to allow you unrestricted visitation with the children, but never with your lover. I'm going to give you some money to get you into a new starter apartment, but then you will have to fend for yourself. The condition for this largesse on my part is that you do not contest the divorce in any way. If you do, I will come at you with everything I have. And Karen, you have no idea what I am capable of. Am I clear so far? She stared at me, realizing that she had hoped against hope that I would take her back and that I would be okay with her continuing her relationship with world-class number 1. Like I said, she was going to need help. Number 2 are these. I pushed a manila folder toward her. Please check the dates at the bottom of the photographs, I said. They were the photos I'd taken Saturday night of Jason and his chick. She pulled them out and stared. But these are from last Saturday night. You're not his true love. You never were. He's a player. Have a nice life, I said. I rose, threw a 20 on the table for the waitress, and left. She was shedding tears of despair as I exited the building. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like.